Content over everything.
Trust me when
has been eroded.
But what we've noticed is
women getting jobs as well.
No, I don't mind them getting. My sister's all employed.
Yeah. Like for example,
I honestly don't see.
I
don't have the pressure, so I can't relate.
Yeah, so there needs to be a middle ground where, you know, women. This is why we hate third wave feminism. Because women, third wave feminists think they're men.
And no offense,
there are women that actually think they're men and stronger than men. I'm sure if we had a fight, it wouldn't really end too well. But
we know
something about third wave feminism.
Let's go and then you can.
We shouldn't have multiple conversations.
Yeah, let's try and keep it to one conversation then. We'll let the lady talk.
This lady wants to talk about her right to choose, regardless of all of our idealised future. Any choice.
Anything. What I want to do later.
You see,
my future.
Well, I've already said in my view the reason that's a problem, and I think it is a problem for all of us, is that in the West, by which I mean the United States and Western Europe, and Central Europe and Eastern Europe, that attitude has resulted in the catastrophic demographic. By demographic, I mean population of the population birth rate. Incredible demographic decline of the population in the West, in Germany, in Scandinavia, in England, and America, and so on. And one of the consequences of that means is we have to suck in huge amounts of third world immigration, which some people think is a great thing. I think it's a mixed blessing. There are pros, there are advantages and disadvantages to that. But your right to choose whatever you like to do, which is the ideology of our age. It's not you really thinking this, with respect. We are socialized, we are the zeitgeist, we are bred to think that way. Because we all think, I'm going to think for myself. Well, we've all been told to do that. It's not something that just comes naturally. But we do pay a price as a society when we all do that. It means that we don't have babies, our civilization runs out. So that's my first big problem, the demographic consequences. Secondly, abortion, because then if a woman, for example, and a man, contraceptive mentality, it's not women, men and women together, the problem here is that it gets in the way of doing what I want to do, because it's my right to do what I want to do. We will abort the baby, we will kill the child.
And men have no choice in the matter.
But let her speak, let her speak.
The problem is that there's a lack of facilities for the baby, so maybe there are too less kindergartens.
Well, no, the woman can stay at home and look after the baby, but that's not seen as
no.
No, exactly. That denies choice. You see, because then you have to. Then we have a biological reality that we have to surrender to, which is the fact that the woman has the baby and the man should need to look after the woman and the baby. But that you frown. But that is precisely what is not an option, because I have a right to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. She may have frowned when you said we have to surrender to, which is exactly the statement you'd make. Well, we have to surrender to reality, because if we pretend the reality doesn't... reality, but we don't have to surrender to... No, I think we do. I've just surrendered to the fact that I'm a certain age. There are lots of things about individual lives we have to surrender. By surrender, I mean acknowledge and just accept. Yeah, accept. But she doesn't have to accept. She doesn't have to accept the argument that she has no choice. She's saying she wants a choice.
No, I'm saying that is the mantra of the West. What you're articulating is what all politicians will say. It's what Sky News, BBC, Daily Mail, they'll all say the same thing. We all must have our freedom of choice. That's what you're saying, because everyone says it. But I'm saying, okay, you want that, but there are consequences. The consequences are A, B, C, and D, and these are quite severe consequences for our civilization.
Sorry, Paul, are you suggesting that the suffragettes, they emerged out of some sort of media nonsense that they wanted a right to vote? Is that what you're honestly suggesting to me?
Can I talk to this lady here rather than...
Yeah,
you're speaking for her, and I'd rather let her speak for herself.
You say that these are the consequences, but you don't know if these are really the consequences. We are in a time of change, so the change is not at an end. We
do know what the statistics are widely available about the demographic decline in all the European countries. We're not replacing our children at a rate to sustain a sustainable rate.
Can you tell us what country you're from?
From Germany.
Germany is an excellent example of that, which is why Merkel said one of the reasons of the argument, as you'll know in Germany, because I've read some of the German press, they'll say one of the reasons is, oh, well, we're not replacing what we need to bring all the immigrants in. Now that's fine if you like that, but there are bad things and good things, there are consequences, advantageous and disadvantageous about that. I don't need to go into the details about that. But see, these are consequences. We can't just say, I would do what I want regardless, because it affects our destiny as a society. I don't mean you personally, I mean as a people, as a German people, as a British people.
But why should women set their choice back and men not? you could also look after the babies if that's the problem. And
Could
then,
do, but it's a woman. In my view, it's a woman's. In terms of if you look at it just in terms of science and materialism, our evolutionary heritage, the way we've evolved as a species in the last 100,000, 200,000 years. I think 200,000 years is the age that we Homo sapiens have been around as a distinct species. You will see that men and women have had very distinct roles, and they're hardwired now in our genetics. Recent genetic research has shown that there are many, many differences between men and women in terms of the morphology, in terms of their biology, and in many, many ways. Now, if you think we can just serenely stand above our biology, then fine, but I don't think it works like that, because I think at the end of the day, there isn't only women, and I'm sorry, I cannot bear children. But you, in principle, can bear children.
Can I just say something? If you ask any man here, most men, and ask them about their relationship with their mother and their relationship with their father, their mother's always going to be like the queen. Yeah. Like, you cannot talk about that man's mother, but you talk about the father. And so this is where the motherhood is sanctimony. It is something that is a beautiful thing, and all children, especially boys with their mothers, have a connection that you cannot have with anybody else. I don't have a connection with nobody else apart from my mum. There's only one person I trust in the world, my mum. Only one person that can tell me what to do, my mum. So if you want me to stop coming to Speaker's Corner, tell my mum to tell me to stop. Man, I might stop.
That's who we need to speak to. We need to speak to Raj's mum.
My mum?
Exactly.
Bring her down.
There are also fathers that raise their children alone because...
Yeah, but I'm saying there's a relationship between a mother who's carried you for 9 months and a child that you cannot get from, in my opinion, from my own experience. I'm talking about my own experience with my father. There's not that relationship. When I think about my mum, I have a connection with her. Yes. Even now, I can just say mum and I can feel her. But if I say dad, I don't have that connection. That's because we've come from mum, from my mother.
Let this lady speak.
Needs love, and a lot of people who are fond of. And it is really okay and very fine if you have a mum that loves you, and but it never happens ever. Yeah. You are lucky. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who aren't raised by her mum and also get normal, lucky people.
Yeah. I'm not saying that the mother's perfect. I'm saying that
200%.
I'm saying there's a relationship between a mother, even a mother that's a bad mother, between their children, that you cannot have with anybody else. In my opinion, I've seen it. I've spoken to people. When you talk about their mother, they have a connection, and you can't say anything about anyone's mother without them going crazy. So this is one of the things I think is lost, and I think one of the reasons why men are lost, because men are obviously, if they're raised by fathers and stuff, they may not have that motherly
How do we deal with the divide between what you're proposing? Sorry, you weren't proposing anything. Yeah. The issue that you are raising and the position that this lady has, which is that she wants the choice. So how do we meet that in the middle?
Let me give you an example.
I said,
can I say something? I've got 4 sisters. All of them have got degrees. All of them work. Some of them are married, some of them are not. It's their choice. But in the ideal world, I don't force them to do anything. They're more independent than me. And so I don't force them to do anything. But if in the ideal world, if you want to sustain a population, you need to have certain traditional values to sustain that population in the long run.
Exactly.
If you stop it,
we've lost those values. That's why the West is in free
If you look at the population of Europe, they're having 1.6 kids per household. If you look at immigrants, like especially the Muslim population, they're having like 4. What will happen over time?
3.6.
Yeah, over time, they will just outbreed you, and that's not them doing it purposely. It will just happen. They are doing the normal thing.
Do you think that culture will replace ours?
It's not whether they. Yeah, it will replace it because the West has become immoral, in my opinion, in its traditional values, and so they will lose, not because Muslims are trying to take over, just because of natural, just from natural causes. Over a period of time, in around 100, 200 years' time, if the West doesn't start realizing that there are some good things about Islam, the traditional values about a man being a man and a woman being a woman are true.
What do you reckon the Europeans will lose?
They will if they continue down this road.
What is it they will lose?
They will basically, their population will go to start dropping.
What we will lose, many would say, is our distinct heritage. Yeah. We will lose our heritage.
So maybe the word lose is wrong.
Out of curiosity, if that's what they want.
Well, it's conceived, but we're talking about like third wave feminism.
Suicide argument.
We're talking about like third wave feminism, which is not feminism, third wave. It's like you got feminism. I agree with women voting, having jobs, and going out and doing what they want. But then you have another feminism that has come in the last 10 years that is very anti-man.
Can I say
that
something?
men are bad,
lady's
men are this, men are that.
Can I
Oh,
say something?
so this is what we're disagreeing with.
Because, like, no, I've heard about this, but like, and I've seen the comparisons, right? You get that one woman who doesn't shave her legs, and who gets angry at men. I don't know her name. She gets angry at men when they call her darling, right? Now, it doesn't take a smart person to realise that there's nothing feminist about that woman. She's clearly a little bit loopy, right? But if you look on the other hand of true feminism, also there was this one actor. She was in that Arnold Schwarzenegger film. She played Jane in that animated version of Tarzan. Can't remember her name. You'd recognise her if you saw her. She told me this story. She says that you can ask any girl from the age of 12 and upwards. I don't know if you can relate to this, and they will all tell you stories about how a man has been inappropriate towards her, said inappropriate things, or tried to touch her. Right? Now, I had no idea this was a thing. Right? And then the thing in Hollywood came out, and then everyone knew it was a serious issue.
Can I say something? You're a very nice guy, but most men are, a lot of men are arseholes, we know that, and most people are arseholes as well, no offence.
This is Raj's.
Including myself.
This is Raj's philosophy.
Including myself, I admit. So before you start writing your comments, I've already said about myself, I'm not a really nice person, so you know, if you hate me, I don't care.
He says this, but he actually is a nice person.
I'm not. But the thing is, yeah,
we disagree. Yeah, we disagree.
The problem is, yeah, what we're trying to say is that traditional values, yeah, in terms of the way men have behaved for millennium, if that goes and women start behaving like men and men start behaving like women, the population of the UK and the West, it will decline so much that another stronger traditional valued society will take over it. Not by any kind of like malicious means, just naturally.
There will be the inevitable clash between third wave feminism, which is something you're very scared of.
Not scared. I'm not scared of third wave. I just think they're crazy, man.
And obviously there is the very strict, like, women in their place fundamentalism.
Yeah, they're crazy. Islam takes it too much that way.
And who do you think will win?
Takes it that way. You need to go in the middle.
Yeah,
a woman should be allowed to work. A woman should be able to have a kid if she wants. A woman should be able to get married. Like my sisters, I think I've got a good middle ground. They're independent, but they still understand about traditional values. That, you know, sustain the civilization.
It was feminism that done help to do that. Men gave them the right, but it was women who stood in front of horses. And back then there were men saying, these feminists, they're too crazy, they're going against what's been happening for thousands of years. I'm not saying that basically what you're saying is wrong. All I'm saying is there's men today who are sexist. And they pretend as if they're not sexist, and they don't know they're sexist. And so, yes, I do agree. There are things about the women's movement.
You want to come in?
Yeah.
You can come in.
Dude, I'm going to move on because...
anyway, Paul, it's great to speak to you. Can I just say before he goes, like I said, we originally started the conversation, and it's still on the same topic in terms of men's roles being kind of like deteriorating and causing mental health issues, and that does kind of connect to third wave feminism, in my opinion. And so, if anyone's like, you know, depressed or anything, just look at us too. We may look like
don't look at us.
We may look like miserable so and so.
Go and look at your local GP.
We may look like miserable.
Look at your GP. Don't look at us.
No, but we may look like miserable so and so's, but we're still here, and I'm having a great time.
Speak for yourself, Raj. Paul looks
exactly.
Yeah. Well, he's happy, but
anyway.
And so, you know, if
it's a nice day. I'm going to go for walkies.
And so we've had a good conversation today. So we'll carry on with this bit, and then we'll go back to the feminism bit. Yeah. What was you saying then?
So what we basically need is this. We need us men to start moving for women before they move, and say, oh, wait a minute, you women, for instance, don't get this, and then we move. But if we don't move and we wait for women to move, that means that we're sexist, but we don't know we're sexist. And what we do is, we're born in this generation, so we say, oh yeah, of course they, but if we lived 100 years ago, we would be saying they shouldn't get pay rights. We would be saying that. That's the honest truth.
Yeah, probably because we would be part of the patriarchy. One of the things I want to say to this guy here,
what I mean.
There is a lady who is a real feminist from the 80s, and she was a feminist, what we call second wave feminist. She is hated by the third wave feminists. And so each feminist that comes along, you have the normal feminists, and there's a third wave, I apologise, there's a third wave feminist who are called feminazis, who are saying to men, you're not biologically a man.
Yes,
we're the same.
Yeah, yeah.
A woman and a man same, but
Yeah,
we're different. Yeah, and a man who behaves a bit boisterous to your kids, they're trying to subdue their natural behaviour. So you see kids at school now that are like 12, 13 on Ritalin and stuff. Whereas when I was at 12, 13, people were like beating each other up at school. It wasn't a big deal. It's normal boys' behaviour. It's a bit boisterous.
Yeah.
I got hit in the face quite a few times.
No, you're right. I didn't acknowledge the Ritalin. Yeah, I forgot about the Ritalin.
So I've met a few kids that are.
That's like I think yeah, no, you're right on that.
So
that
goes in, but that goes into the depression because you're subduing or trying to control a man's natural nature, and you're saying to a kid that these kids that were beating people at my school didn't turn into monsters. They're working in the city now. Yeah, they're not turning into mass killers. You just let boys be boys and let girls be girls naturally, and they will slowly come out of it. Now, the problem now is when you're starting to Ritalin them, we don't know the consequences of these drugs in the long run. So we don't know. They might turn psychotic at some point.
I think the whole.
And it may cause a depression.
MGTOW was a big part of the reason why men are behaving the way they are. Like, I can never relate to that because I kind of just felt because this is everything I ever hear from these anti-feminists is she doesn't want me, so I'm
but you're
gonna
looking at it too narrowly in terms of dating. We're talking about a broader thing about men as men. Their role is declined to the point that a man, if he behaves like a man, he's a thug. If a man, says, "Oh, I'm a man and you're a woman," you're sexist. If you open a door to a woman, "Oh, I can do it myself." So all of these natural kind of things that were going on for millennium, is now seen as negative, and this is why the West will decline, and other cultures that are stronger and have more traditional values will surpass it at some point.
It did. It happened in Rome. It
will
happened
happen
in Greece.
here. It will happen
They
here.
become more liberal, actually.
It will happen here because whatever people think about Islam, they've got one thing on lockdown. They may be too extreme, to my opinion, but they got the lockdown in terms of the woman's role and a man's role.
Yeah.
And once that's lost, your society will just go, in my opinion.
No,
so we might just wrap it up actually because Leon's had too much sensible conversations today. Yeah, we need to start getting to rowdiness. Let me start causing a bit of trouble, man. Let's go. Anyway, it was great to talk to you guys, man. And we don't hate women, we love women, man. We're just saying men are men and women are women and we can coexist.
So ask for him first.
Oh, thanks, Leon, man.
That was a good one, man.
Content over everything. From your
Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Today I'm sending message to Sarah. Sarah Garvey. I started like that. Sarah Garvey. Sarah, I am calling you to Islam because we like your uncle Alex.